I'm the only one with the notes, which is problematic. Thank you all very, very much indeed. It's a huge honour and responsibility, in a sense, to be leading an organisation with such august history behind it. But it's also an absolute privilege. But I will confess, we had a certain amount of soul-searching about whether and how we should celebrate ODI's 50 years. And we're sufficiently hair-shirted in ODI to actually ask ourselves, well, really, you know, should we be celebrating? Or should we be worrying about the fact that we still feel we need to be here? The international development project is not finished. There are many, many, many challenges ahead of us. And we have a reason to continue to exist. And in some ways, that's a very sobering background to 50 years of tremendous contribution. But we decided that this was a really opportune moment to pull together some of that history. And we've had lots of fun bringing it together. And I would urge you to look at our mini timeline and the stuff that's on the website at the moment that tracks some of that history and the key points where ODI researchers have been involved in some of the agenda shaping moments of international development and humanitarian policy and practice over the last 50 years. So the tone for this 50th year, we decided June the 9th was as good a date as anything. There is a bit of a debate about whether June the 9th is the birthday of ODI. We know it was 1960, we know it was in the summer, we've plumped for June the 9th. But basically, we decided that the tone for this year would be one of celebration, but celebration without complacency. And of course, if we look around us and picking up on Simon's theme, there is absolutely no room for complacency. The world is changing rapidly around us. Some say we're in a period in which globalization is in a long crisis, increased volatility, increased uncertainty, which frames, of course, much of what we do and think about in terms of international development and humanitarian engagement. At the same time, economic gravity is shifting in the world. And I was struck by an OECD report that is just out at the moment, which basically came up with a few observations about the way in which economic gravity is shifted in the world. And it's worth just reflecting on those. In 2009, China became the leading trading partner of Brazil, India, and South Africa. Perhaps no surprise to us, but the Indian multinational Tata became the second largest investor in Africa. And 40%, this is a figure that we in ODI need to reflect on, but 40% of the world's researchers are now based in Asia. This is a very different world today from the world that we were faced in 1960. And with the rise of the emerging and converging market economies, increasingly investing in each other and trading with each other, you know, the world is increasingly going south. And this is, of course, a very interesting challenge and opportunity for a northern-based, London-based international development think tank like ODI. So there's a new geography around us, and this poses real risks and challenges, not least to those economies and those populations that are not a part of that transformation that is happening in some parts of the world. But it also poses some particular sort of risks, challenges, but crucially opportunities, I think, for ODI. And I just want to outline a few of those. I mean, we have real opportunities in this changing world for being part of developing new narratives on development, from climate-compatible development to a new deal for fragile states, to thinking about the post-MDG agenda, which is not so far away, 2015, and the game-changing role of technology in development. There are huge opportunities for the ODI to think differently about its alliances. Who do we partner with? Who do we work with? Where are we drawing our insight and sense of priority from? And one of my agendas going forward in the next few years is to really begin to think and build some really quite different strategic alliances for the Institute that reflects the changing center of gravity in power and influence in the world, but also allows us to expand our own global footprint beyond the UK and Europe. But there's finally an opportunity which is ultimately an obligation. And that obligation is to keep the urgency of international development and humanitarian issues at front and center within the national and international policy agenda. That is a responsibility, if you like, that ODI has taken on from its inception. And we have a continued obligation, as well as many opportunities, to maintain and to support international development within the public eye. We have 50 years of experience to draw on. We have 50 years of great leadership, some of which is in this room. 50 years of absolutely superb staff. Really quite cutting edge thinking and research. Again, some of which is in this room. And in the end, we have 50 years of doing what we do best in ODI, which is linking high quality research in really useful ways to real world policy problems and ultimately to better ways of doing things. Thank you all very much for coming to help us celebrate ODI's 50th anniversary. There'll be many things happening during this year through our communications and events, and we'll keep you all in touch, and we hope to see some of you at those. But all it is for me to say is a big thank you to all of you.